Good evening, everyone. My name is Terea Boleg, and I'm the Vice President of It's Our Turn UB. And I'd like to formally welcome you guys to our first ever financial literacy seminar. And we'll have two guest speakers, Mr. Zhivargo Laing and Ms. Lakeisha Rolle. And we're just going to start off with a opening prayer by Mr. Bartley. You can go ahead, Bartley. Okay, so he's having some issues, so I'll take the fort for him. So if anyone can bow their heads and close their eyes, I'm going to do a little prayer. Okay. So, Father, I thank you for gathering us all here today. Lord, I pray that we all open our minds and be able to learn things and that we all apply to our lives. Lord, I pray that you continue to watch over us all, protect us, and heal us all, Lord. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Okay. Thank you very much. And now I'm gonna hand it off to Calpurnia, our president.
All right, good night, everyone. I understand that everyone's rushing home or at least home and just getting settled. So right now, I just wanted to take the time to say I hope you guys are doing well. I hope that this COVID experience currently is honestly treating you as good as possible. And I just want to talk about it's our turn for a minute. Let's give some people, at least some more people, time to join because we actually have 59 who are supposed to be registered. So we'll just talk about what is It's Our Turn for a minute. So It's Our Turn UB is a nonprofit club in the University of the Bahamas. And what we're based on is community service, some community outreach. We are here to help people. We are here to serve you. We are here to be the change. We are here to say it's our turn for the youth to go and make a difference in the country. And it was started by our founder, Beijing Rogers, and she expanded it in many different high schools and in the University of the Bahamas when it became the University of the Bahamas. So we were literally officially UB when we went into UB. So also, it's our turn. What we're doing right now, we're actually running campaigns to help people join. If you are a regular person, not in UB, and you want to be a part of what we do, we will allow you to be a part of it anyway. But to be an official member, you have to be registered in UB's system. But we accept you because we want to let you know, hey, no matter what or where you are, we will let you come, we will let you join in because we appreciate your volunteering efforts as long as you're true about your intention. And right now, I don't want to keep you guys too long, so I will invite our Vice President once more to bring the introduction.
Okay, so our first speaker is Ms. Lakeisha Rolle. She's a young financial professional currently employed as a fund accountant and portfolio administrator at a local fund administration company. In November 2012, her research study was featured as the opening article in the inaugural publication of in the Edinburgh Napier Journal of Finance and Economics. The research study is entitled Factors That Shift Consumer Spending Patterns During Recessions. Lakeisha graduated with a Bachelor of Business Administration degree in Economics and Finance in June 2013 from the College of the Bahamas. In July 2015, she graduated from Edinburgh Napier University, Scotland, where she earned a Master of Science degree in Business Management with a concentration in finance. In November 2019, Lakeisha established the Financial Academy in response to the fulfillment of her life's purpose. Her goal is to make an impact among youth of the nation by instilling the importance of adopting positive financial habits at an early age. In keeping with the company's motto, Smart Finances, Secure Future, the Financial Academy mission is to provide practical ways in which young persons can create a more secure financial future by making healthy financial choices today. So, once again, welcome Ms. Lakeisha Rolle.
Good evening, all. Thank you for the introduction. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm super excited about this presentation this evening, and I would like for it to be as interactive as possible. So get used to using the chat. If you want to unmute your mic and ask a question, go ahead, feel free to do so. As Ms. Boleg would have mentioned, in November 2019, the Financial Academy was established in response to purpose. And here at the Financial Academy, our mission is to provide practical ways in which young persons can create a more secure financial future by practicing healthy financial habits today. So that is what we're all about. And this evening, we're going to speak about how to think like a boss. So that is what my presentation is entitled. And when you want to thinking like a boss is more than just knowing how to make money. Knowing how to manage money is a very important aspect of thinking like a boss and being a true entrepreneur. And financial literacy is so important because it's important that you take over those money management habits, those positive skills that you practice personally, and transfer those over to your business practices. So I want you to drop a 1 in the chat if you are a current entrepreneur, which means you own your own business. And I want you to drop a 2 in the chat if you are an aspiring entrepreneur. So you don't own your own business yet, but you would like to soon or sometime in the future. Okay, I see some persons responding. Okay, so we have a few persons, we have a few current entrepreneurs, a few aspiring, and we have 2 persons who are in the middle. All right, so thank you so much for responding. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen right now. Okay, so like I said, financial literacy is an important aspect of entrepreneurship. So we're going to be speaking about financial literacy and how that applies to being an entrepreneur. Okay, the Financial Academy, just a few more facts about my company. So we are officially registered with NACOB, which is the National Accreditation and Equivalency Council of the Bahamas. So what that says is that our programs, our sessions, presentations, our content is recognized by the government of the Bahamas as our body is recognized. So we are an accredited institution and we have our business license. So we are official, we are registered with those important bodies. We officially launched, we hosted our first public seminar earlier this year in January. And we had 50 teens that actually came out and participated. So that was really great. We also partnered with an organization in Texas called FinLit for Teens. It's a high school financial literacy club. And we were pleased to present to them in July. That was a big accomplishment for us. And also we launched our personal financial management course. Our first cohort was in July of this year, and the second cohort is ongoing. So, and this is a great program that helps persons who are financially concerned to become financially confident, to help them get them thinking about their financial future, and that achieving your financial goals are actually possible. So this is a 4-week online course. And like I said, the second cohort is ongoing. If you're interested, you can feel free to check us out on social media, and I'll mention a little bit about our pages toward the end of the presentation. Okay, so I see a poll is going on right now. So feel free to go ahead and respond to that. So financial literacy 101 for entrepreneurs. Why is financial literacy so important? First of all, when you are thinking about creating a business, the first thing you should think about are setting SMART goals for your business. So know what it is you would like to accomplish, set a timeline for when you would like to accomplish these goals by, and also make sure the goal is realistic. You do not want to set unrealistic goals and you find that you feel as if your business is constantly failing when in reality your goals weren't realistic to begin with. So that is something that's very important for an entrepreneur to know. Create a budget, set spending limits for your products that you want to purchase. Make sure that you're able to make that money back along with some profit. And also don't use too much of your money during the beginning when it comes to promotions, marketing campaigns, all that good stuff. So use social media to your advantage, and there are many inexpensive ways to attract your audience. And especially during COVID-19, I don't know about you, but I have definitely discovered a number of ways that I can use social media to my advantage, or various websites, to try and attract those customers that I would like to purchase my product, or to just promote my company in general. So definitely look for more affordable ways, preferably those are free ways that you can promote your business. That's a part of financial literacy, and that's a great money management habit. Also, know how to manage your financial records carefully. Segregate your personal account from your business account. And this is an area where persons fall down a lot. And understand the numbers. It can make the difference between your business flourishing and your business failing. So if you do not understand these numbers, then your business may take a hit for a while until you're able to recover. And also, when it comes to understanding the numbers, make sure that you have trusted persons around you, maybe a financial advisor, a lawyer, an accountant, someone who can provide you with advice that can actually help you as you go along in your business, from startup, even when your business is matured. So make sure you have the right type of persons around you to provide you with the advice that you need. Sound advice, that is what you're looking for. Like I mentioned earlier, we're going to be speaking about how to think like a boss. And I said that it's important to understand the numbers. So what makes the numbers are your sales, but what keeps the numbers are your financial management skills. So that is why financial literacy is so important. It helps you to learn how to manage your finances effectively. The first thing we're going to speak about, I have 4 points for you. The first point is create a budget. The second point is open a separate bank account. The third point is save first. And the fourth point is spend wisely. So that's actually the acronym for BOSS. B is for budget, O is for open a separate account, S is for saving, and the other S is for spending wisely. So you can go ahead and write that down if you want to. First thing, when it comes to creating a budget will only be useful if it is realistic and if you stick to it. When it comes to a budget, you have to be careful when you outline your income and your expenses. So this is where you have to be very honest with yourself. Where am I getting income from, and where am I spending the money that I'm receiving? So that's very important to know. Make sure when you write down your sources of income that you capture every area that you are gaining revenue from. You don't want to miss out anything. You don't want to miss out anything that is important in your business. When you're creating this budget, you want to make sure you have everything documented. No matter how small the income is or how small the expense is, every penny counts. So it's very important to document that information. The second thing I want to mention is you cannot spend what you do not have. So this is why it's so important to outline first the various sources of income for your business, as well as each expense or each future expense. Now we know you may not have the same expense every month, or every other month. You have annual expenses. You may have, for example, if you're paying rent, rent would be a monthly expense. If you have business insurance, a building insurance on your company's building, you would have that insurance annually. If you have business license, you would have that expense annually. So make sure keep a track of each category that your expense falls in, so you do not miss out something when the time comes for it to actually be paid. Something else I want to mention, if you are unsure about the value of your expense, estimate a value on the higher end of the range or of the scale that you think the expense may fall between. Because if you under budget for that expense, you have to find money to actually fund that. But if you over budget, you have a little bit of money left over. But you want to be as close as possible to the real value of what your intended expense may be. So this would encourage you to do a little bit of research depending on what type of products you actually sell or what type of business that you want to go into. So this is very important. You have to know the value of your expense, because this is why you are outlining all this information in your budget. Another thing, I mentioned it before, make sure your budget is realistic. If your budget does not reflect a true picture of your business's income and expenses, you may find yourself encountering a few financial hurdles due to poor financial management. So be very careful when you are writing down these things. Be aware of the amount that you are allocating for each of these expenses. And at the end of the day, also make a note of whether or not you spent more or you spent less than you intended to. And this has to do with your cash flow and keeping an accurate record of your inflows, outflows, and your excess amounts. So this is why creating a budget is so important. And with a budget, it helps you to remain on track, and it helps if you use it properly, and it helps you to be accountable for your actions. So a budget is simply just that roadmap that tells you which categories you're going to spend your money in and how much you're going to spend on each item. So make sure stick to that as best as you can. Do not get discouraged if you find yourself spending more than you allocated to spend, but know that we'll get to saving later, but make sure that you do not use all of the income that you receive to fund your business. You have to leave something on the side as an emergency, or if something were to happen unexpectedly. Any questions about creating a budget? Do we have anybody who has never created a budget for their business, or you may want some tips on how to create a better budget? Okay, no questions. I'll move on to the second point. Open a separate, sorry, someone unmuted.
Yes, how about if we try to have separate accounts from or a personal account from your business? In that way, if you find that you are not doing well in terms of saving for your business, then you may have some extra cash that you can allocate towards the business.
So you're talking specifically about a separate bank account or adding some of your personal income to your budget?
No, trying to separate the two, having a separate account from that of your business so as you not to cross over.
Oh, okay, so I'm going on the second point now. So the second point is open a separate bank account. And when it comes to opening this separate account, the key area or the key purpose of this is so that your business and your personal funds do not mix. It's very easy for you to kind of become distracted with seeing that bank account balance grow so much that you're unable to track, what is my personal income? What is my business income? What am I spending? You may not even remember. And especially if you aren't keeping great financial records, you could definitely get sidetracked, and before you know it, you're spending your personal income on business expenses, or you are spending your business income on personal expenses, and that is a no-no. So it also helps to keep an accurate record of your business's performance. And I mentioned earlier those inflows and outflows. Because when you have that separate account, you only have that one account that is responsible for taking care of your business transactions. So you know that what is in that account belongs to my business, and you would not get it mixed up with your personal funds or funds from other sources other than this particular business that you have at the time. If you must combine, so this is a tip, if you must combine your personal and business expenses for whatever reason, maybe you're unable to open a second account at this time, make sure that you are keeping a separate record of what represents income derived from your primary business activities and other areas. So even if you have one bank account, it's not impossible to keep a financial record of what's coming in and out for your business versus personally. You just have to be very disciplined to do this. But always keep in mind that your business and personal funds, you may not want to mix those because you have specific reasons for each type of income. So your business may have been established for a particular reason. So you definitely don't want to cross over into your personal funds to fund things for your business. You may want to be careful of that. A separate bank account also allows you to easily reference when you have received income, how much income you have received, how much you have spent on your expenses, and then your remaining balance. So this may get a little tricky if your funds are combined with your personal bank account, because you're only maybe paying attention to the grand scheme of things, the one balance that you see on the book, but not realizing that all of that does not represent or may not represent necessarily what you've received from your business. And when it comes to expenses and purchasing stuff online or just swiping your card, you may not remember how much you actually spent from your business or what the balance is. So just in order to avoid all of that, just open a separate bank account one time for your business. It definitely helps with distinguishing the personal and business income and managing those financial records. And another thing when it comes to managing financial records, at the end of the year, when it is time to present your income report to the Inland Revenue, Department of Inland Revenue, it would actually help if you're able to see how much money I made from my business over the course of the year, and then you're able to submit that to say whether or not you will qualify to actually pay value-added tax or to charge value-added tax. So this is another reason you would want to keep those accounts separate, or always keep great financial records, because when it comes to business filing, or even if you want to go to the bank for a loan one day, you're able to show exactly what I have received over a period of time, how much income I'm generating, so all that stuff. So go ahead and participate in that poll. I'll give you a minute to respond to that. I see that going right now. If you have a question, feel free to unmute and ask.
Okay, I have a question. During the budget, when you're trying to say, okay, this is how much you're selling and how much you purchase this type of product for and how much you're selling it for, and when your profit afterwards, do you have a formula for that, or do we need an accountant, or do you have anybody on your team who does that or help with that?
So you're talking about like a financial statement?
Like calculating how much profit we'll be making, like the profit.
Okay, so
sometimes,
go ahead.
Yeah, I'm saying sometimes it could be confusing because you buying a lot of stuff maybe from away, and when you bring them in, you're going through customs and going through the most. So doing that and then figuring out how much you have to sell it for, and then what your profit gonna be. And like, do you have any specific calculations for that, or anybody who you know will help with that?
Okay, so I'll give you some tips first, and you can go ahead and place your email address in the chat, and I can get back to you with that. But I'll just answer generally. When it comes to knowing your markup, you have to take a look at what is the going price in the market for a product. And you also have to look at, so that's looking at your competitors. And you use that as a gauge to know how much you should sell your product for. So if you buy a lipstick for $5 and you sell it for $7, but your competitors are only selling it for $6, you may get some pushback because you're selling it for $1 more. So during the beginning, you may take some losses, but that is why it's so great to keep those financial records and always be aware of what the market is doing, so you know how to position yourself, how to position your product, and ultimately how to price your product. And that also comes with knowing who are your potential clients. Are my clients going to purchase this product from me for this particular price? So when you are thinking about going into business and you know the product that you want, you have to keep in mind, what is the going price or what is the going rate in the market for my product? Because you don't want to sell it too high to the point where you have no clients and you're not selling your products at all, but you've already invested so much in this. So that is the advice that I would give you. But simply, when you're trying to back out the numbers, you would calculate how much you want to sell the product for, and you would do a calculation that would tell you what you should be charging in order to make this back. And then you would get the profit margin from that by doing a simple calculation. But I'll definitely shoot you a message following the session. Thanks for the question. You're welcome.
Okay,
So
there's a question.
Okay.
There's a question in the comments. It says, are there any special requirements for opening a business bank account, or should you just open a personal checking account when just starting out?
Okay, great question. So there are restrictions on business accounts, in particular, the initial deposit or the revenue you're generating. Let me just check it. I actually have that information. But what I will say is it would definitely be easier to open a personal account, and you can open a normal account and you can use that for your business, because that would definitely be more convenient. So one bank I checked with in particular, to open a business account was $50,000. So that may be nowhere near what you're making right now. So I would suggest, so something I had to do was open another personal account at a bank, and that serves as my business account for now, until I'm able to open a business account. Now, I heard you mention a checking account. Now, a checking and savings account are different. So I'm not sure which type of account that you're interested in opening, but the general savings account is just where you make those deposits. Or general savings account is what I have, where I just make those deposits. It's in my name, but it's on behalf of my company. So another personal account will definitely be more convenient as a new entrepreneur. Any other questions? Okay, so I will go on to point number 3, which is save first. So when I started off, I spoke about setting these SMART goals for your business, SMART business goals. And you also want to set SMART savings goals. And there are 3 types of goals. You have short-term goals, medium-term goals, and long-term goals. And when it comes to short-term goals, these are goals that you would hope to accomplish within the year or another 2 years. Something that's super easy to achieve. A medium-term goal would be a goal that you hope to accomplish within the next 3 to 4 or 5 years. And long-term goals is anything between 6 years, 7 years, and over. So when you are setting various goals for your business, make sure they are realistic for the time frame that you would like to set this goal for. A SMART goal, if you're unfamiliar with a SMART goal, SMART is an acronym for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. So what this acronym says is that altogether, your goal, you should know specifically the goal that you're setting. For example, if you want to save if you want to save $200 per month, or let's just say you want to save $2,400 per year, you know the goal that you're setting is this $2,400 per year. When it comes to being measurable, you want to know that you are able to track your progress over a period of time. So if you're saving $200 a month to achieve this particular goal, you're able to measure whether or not you're in good standing each month. And if you're not, then you have to catch up, and you know how much you have to catch up with, which is $200. When it comes to achievable and realistic, these kind of go together. You have a question? Sorry.
Okay, there's someone asking you to repeat what BOSS stands for.
Okay, so BOSS stands for, the B stands for budget, so create a budget. The O stands for open a separate bank account. The first S stands for save first, and the second S stands for spend wisely. As I was saying, when it comes to attainable and realistic goals, these kind of go hand in hand. You want to make sure that you are able to achieve this goal that you set over this time period. You want to make sure that your financial situation or your position allows you to actually achieve this goal. You want to make sure that this goal at the end of the timeline that you set is going to be something that becomes your reality. So be careful for setting far-fetched goals. For example, if you are a new entrepreneur, make sure that your revenue goal or your savings goal is realistic if you're a startup, and also given the products that you're going to be selling. Also, when it comes to the T is for timeline. So make sure set a timeline, or make sure your goal is time bound. So know exactly when you would like to achieve this goal by. So imagine if you said, I would like to save $2,400. Just like that. No timeline, no nothing. The chances of you actually achieving that goal may be 0 to none. Sorry, it may be little to none, because you are just focused on setting a goal, but not setting a specific goal, not making sure that you're able to actually achieve this. And then if it's not bound by a timeline, then you definitely would get to that goal down the road. You would say, okay, whenever I save $2,400 is when I save it. It's no big deal to me. I have no specific time frame in mind. So you have to be careful about when you're setting goals. Make sure that you are checking off each of these letters in the acronym for a SMART goal. And there's a lot of information online about SMART goals, different types of SMART goals, and how to approach a SMART goal, and making sure that this is the right goal that you're setting for yourself. Okay, so I see the poll results. The poll is still going on, but I see the results so far. So a lot of persons, this is the first time they've heard about a SMART goal. And some persons haven't set a SMART goal. Some persons have a 1-year SMART goal and a 5-year SMART goal. So that is excellent. I hope that you are keeping track of this goal and that you are measuring your progress over a period of time. And sometimes life happens and you may be unable to continue on with the goal that you have set, but you just have to adjust. If you can, adapt as best as possible and still have that on your list to accomplish, even though you may not be able to get to it right now, but do not be discouraged. Still leave it on your SMART goal list as something that you would like to achieve. So that's great to see that persons have set a 1- and 5-year SMART goals. So you would definitely want to follow us on social media, because I have a SMART goal workshop coming up toward the end of the year. So if you want to find out more information, stay tuned. Definitely you want to check out our page. So this is great. Something else I wanted to mention when it comes to saving first. Always remember to save a portion of your revenue to account for additional company expenses, and to also have a buffer in the event of slow business periods. You will still be able to cover basic expenses. So earlier on, when I spoke about budgeting and remembering those expense items that you may not incur frequently, such as maybe a quarterly or an annual expense, this is where saving that comes in, because you may forget that this expense is coming up. But if you have something saved aside, even though you may not have some revenue coming in at the time, you would still be able to cover your expenses, depending on the cost of it, of course. So expenses such as salaries, if you have anyone employed, utilities, equipment, and I spoke about rent, anything that can come up at any time. So always make sure you are saving a portion of your income to fund your company's expenses and to have in the event of a slow business period, but you're still able to cover something. Or you may be able to pivot, for example, during COVID, and switch to a different business idea, and you have some funds to actually start up a new business that can still generate some revenue. So always have some money set aside. You never know what can happen. I spoke about creating savings goals for your business. Also, don't forget to create personal savings goals as well. Feel free to set revenue targets. And in this way, you should always be working toward achieving a specific business goal. And you should always have a savings goal that you are working toward. So you don't want to just be making money for the sake of making money. You want to be making money and working towards your money doing better things or greater things in the future. Perhaps you can set a revenue goal and decide to save a percentage of your revenue each period until you reach your goal. So even if you want to do something like that, it's something you can check out. And I spoke about the SMART goal approach already. Something else that is on here. Okay, allocate funds toward establishing an emergency fund for your business. So an emergency fund is simply a fund that is set aside specifically for unexpected events. This is not to be used as a typical savings account where you just go to the ATM and withdraw whatever you please for whatever you want to do. So this is not that type of fund. So an emergency fund is something that helps you it helps to keep you afloat in the event that something happens to your business. Like I said, so a savings account can also be used for this purpose. And some persons have a savings account that acts as their emergency fund. So that is fine as well. Make sure that you have something set aside to not spend everything that you have coming in, especially if you aren't sure how much you're going to get back from it. And when we had the question about the profit margin, you may not even be mindful of what your profit margin is. And you definitely may not be making enough to cover any expenses if something happens to your business. So that's also something to keep in mind. Any questions about saving? To my entrepreneurs, save a certain percentage of their income every time they receive revenue. You can type a 1. We can go with the 1 again. If you're not saving a portion, but you're gonna start, you can type a 2. Okay, awesome, great stuff. So I will move on to number 4. So my 4th point is spend wisely. Now, everything may look like it is necessary. Everything may seem important for your business. As a new entrepreneur, you want it all. You want to make sure that your business looks legit, that you have your stuff in order. But the truth is, you have to spend wisely. You have to take things in stages. So I'll speak a bit about what I did when I started my company. So the first thing I did, I got my company logo. And that was the first stage of everything. The second thing I did was I got a few company shirts, and that was a few months later. And a few months after that, I got some business cards. And then a few months after that, I got a sign. So that is right behind me. So these have been my business investments over the last, I would say, 10 months. Yes, these were my various investments over the past 10 months. And I did not purchase everything at one time. I waited until I reached, let's say, the end of a quarter, or I waited until I made so much revenue, and I was able to separate what I wanted to save and what I had to keep for spending. So that went towards my expenses. So I took everything in stages. So be careful, because you are an entrepreneur. And then recently I forgot, I purchased a new laptop. So that is something that came almost a year later. So it's very important to write down these expenses, write down the things that you would like to purchase for your business, write down how much it's going to cost you, and make sure that cost is the actual value of these items. And then you'll be able to place your funds toward each item as time go along. So imagine if I had spent all of my money one time for my first event. Imagine if I got those shirts, I got the sign, I got my business cards, and I got my laptop all at one time. I may not have made that money back and I would have been at a loss. So you have to make sure that you are using your budget to the fullest extent as you can, and make sure you time your expenses over different periods. Do not invest in too many things at one time. I see you have a question, Calpurnia?
Okay. There is a comment. They ask, what would be a good measurement for paying yourself first? Like what percentage of revenue?
Okay, so this definitely varies. It depends. You can pay yourself however much you want to, but at the end of the day, you have to make sure that your business can still be running. So you do not want to pay yourself 90% of the income that you've received from an event, and you're just left with 10% to fund your expenses. And once you pay yourself, you may want to enjoy yourself. So you'll be tempted to use all 90% of that income toward yourself. Yes, you work hard. Yes, you deserve it, but you have to be careful with that ratio. So it's entirely up to you. I cannot tell you how much you should pay yourself, but what I can say is make sure that you are saving at least 20% of whatever it is that you are making, and you put that in a savings account or use toward your business's emergency fund. Do we have any other questions about the paying yourself or anything else about on that topic? Okay, so I'll go on to a few more of my points. Do not get caught up spending money you do not have and that you aren't sure when you're gonna make it back. And I think I mentioned that already. If you must use a credit card or take out a loan for your business, make sure you are aware of the terms of the facility and how this may impact your business. So for example, make sure you're aware of the term of this agreement or this contract. Make sure you're aware of the interest rate. Make sure you know what payment is due monthly. Make sure that you are aware of the due dates and you don't miss a date. So all of these things you want to be mindful of if you are using a credit card or if you are taking out a loan to fund your business. And when it comes to credit cards, as I mentioned when I started speaking about spending wisely, everything may look important, and just because the credit card is there does not mean that you have to use it. You can even use your credit card as your emergency fund. So if you have a credit card with a $1,500 limit, just use that as your business emergency fund or something that if you only want to use it if something comes up and you absolutely do not have the cash to do so. And that is, like I said, as in the event of an emergency. So do not get caught up swiping for all these things you need for your business right away, but you haven't even had your first event as yet. So you want to be very careful of that. And now you are incurring an additional expense, which is interest on this credit card that you have just gotten from this bank, and you haven't made your first dollar. So now all of your personal funds will go towards paying off this credit card, and you may be struggling to start your business after you purchased all these items. Remember the purpose of the facility to fund necessary business expenses, as I mentioned, necessary or emergency expenses. Also, using a credit card when you do not need it can be very risky, especially if you are unable to repay when it's due. So if you are depending solely on your business revenue to pay off this credit card, you may want to watch or monitor how careful you are, monitor how frequent you are using this credit card. Because if business is not generating income as frequently as you expect it to, then you're going to be in a tight situation. All right. And this can also impact your credit score, which is something that will be implemented very soon. And what this credit score tells an institution is how well you're able to pay back the money that you borrowed from somebody. So if you are borrowing money from a variety of places and you're unable to meet those payments at the end of the month or whenever they are due, this impacts your ability to borrow, especially if it's for something more serious. Especially, let's say, if you want to get a house now, or you want to get a car and you need to take out a loan. If you weren't paying those credit cards back on time that you purchase for your business when you first started up because you wanted it all, then it's going to be very difficult to get some of these things down the road. So you definitely want to watch your credit, because this will affect your credit score. I mentioned already, be honest about the true costs that you're about to incur, especially when it comes to formulating your budget. Do not get caught up using credit facilities or loans. Excessive use of credit instruments can negatively impact your credit score, like I mentioned already. So you want to, when you are making purchasing decisions or investment decisions about your business, you do not only want to think about now, you want to think about the future. And there's something that I say, the best way to control your financial future is by controlling your financial now. So make sure that you are completely aware of how your current financial situation looks, and that you are making steps toward achieving that financial future that you have set for yourself and that you have also set for your business. So you always want to keep that in the back of your mind and make sure that you are making healthy choices when it comes to your personal life and also when it comes to your business. So these are two important things that I wanted to mention as well. Okay, I see a question. What advice would you give regarding investors and giving them a percentage of profit? Okay, so you're talking about persons who have helped you to get your business started, maybe family and friends. Well, the percentage of the profit that you provide to these investors, that's totally up to you. So I'm unable to actually give a percentage, but it's similar to the question about how much do you pay yourself or how much would I suggest. So it's totally up to you. So it's subjective, and it depends on, one, how much you can afford to pay them at that time. So when you get some income, you don't want to split 100% between 4 people, 25% each, because that leaves you with zero. So you have to think about that. You have to know, how much money would I like to make first before I go ahead and say, hey, I want to pay somebody out. So make sure you're making a wise decision, and make sure you can also keep up with it. Let's say you promise that you're going to pay them X amount of dollars over the next year. You want to make sure that you are actually in a position to pay them this money over the next year. So make sure it's realistic. So set a SMART goal in terms of what percentage you would like to pay out to those persons who have helped you to get your business started. So that's what I would suggest. Set a goal, make sure that it's realistic, and make sure that you can achieve that over the period of time that you promised that you would give them this money for. And make sure you're looking out for your business at the end of the day as well, because this is what it's all about. I think you can always pay these people once you get up and going and your business is flourishing. But if you promise them something and your business is failing, it's going to be very difficult to commit to that promise. So you never want to overpromise and underdeliver. You want to always make sure that you are able to meet the commitment that you promised somebody. Does that answer your question? Okay, you're welcome. So I have this quote here, and I would like to get some feedback in terms of what does this quote mean to you when you see this? And it kind of sums up everything that I've spoken about.
Let me see. Okay, just, I mean, because everybody know you want to make a bigger profit, you want to be able to purchase what you can with the little that you have. But the cheaper the cheaper it is, the quality may also be very, very low. So whatever you're selling might not be to the best when you're selling it to your customers. So I think that's what it is.
Okay, thank you for that. I didn't think about that, but I definitely understand what you mean by that, because your product makes or breaks your business, and in addition to the way you manage your money. So you want to be careful with the types of products that you are actually providing to your clients, because your business can kind of take take a turn and actually be unsuccessful or not be as successful as you think. So thanks for that. I did not get that when I first read this quote. Anybody else? Can I get 2 more people?
What I get from that is that you should account for all the money that comes out of your business, or the money that you're spending, no matter how insignificant it may seem, because it's gonna add up. Like if you're spending $20 a day, that's $140 a week, and then that would be equivalent to like $560. Well, yeah, it's gonna add up.
Definitely, definitely. So failing to keep proper financial records, tracking of your expenses, your inflows as well, this can definitely flip your business upside down. Do we have anybody else? Can we get 1 more person? Does anybody have any additional questions? I see a few persons are completing the poll, so feel free to go ahead and you can just type it in the chat and they'll get the question to me.
Okay. There's another question.
Okay, I'm unable to see it right now, saying that the poll is on my screen. Can you read it for me, please?
Okay.
I was trying to get to it.
What's the most effective way to build a brand?
Okay, so there are so many things that is tied up in this. The most effective way to build a brand, I would say, is connecting with your audience. The first thing you have to know is who your audience is. Who am I serving? What types of products would my audience like? How can I best reach out to my audience? So you have to find ways that you can connect with your audience in order to build a brand. So that's the first stage. And then after you've built that brand, you have to focus on maintaining that relationship. So you have to learn how to actually navigate with different products and services, and maybe branching out into various networks, changing up your client base, and persons would definitely get to see what all that you have to offer. So the most effective way to build a brand, I would say, is learning about who your audience is and learning as much information as possible, right down to their age, their thought process, the types of products they like, the amount of money that they would like to spend. You have to know all of that information in order to build that brand as best as you can. And that is something that takes years to do. That is not an overnight process. And your clients change. You may have learned how to build your brand and thought you knew who your audience were, but when COVID came, your audience would have flipped. So you always have to be on top of things and keep reaching out and learning more things about your audience so you can continue to build a stronger brand. That's something that I have learned over the last 10 months. So that's what I would definitely say.
Are there any more questions?
Okay, I don't think we have any more questions, so I will just go ahead and wrap up. So how to think like a boss is all about budgeting, opening that separate account, saving consistently, and also spending wisely. So once you grab a hold of these simple financial literacy concepts, you will be able to be a more successful entrepreneur, or you would actually journey into that area of of entrepreneurship much smoother than someone who probably did not have this information available for them. And sorry, Renbert, I had one more slide. I just wanted to, okay, let me share it again. I just wanted to pull up my social media information So feel free to follow us on social media for daily tips. I place about 3 tips on my page each day and free resources. And I actually would like to provide you, if you're interested, with a free resource that would help you personally and business-wise in terms of money management and to get you started. And so if you drop your email address in the chat, I will deliver that product to your inbox. So what the product is a free personal wealth checklist. And like I said, it can also be tailored for your business. So it gives you a list of things that you should be doing on your financial journey. And this can help you at any stage you're at in your life. So you definitely want to take advantage of this free tool. Like I said, drop your email in the box and I will send you that tool tonight following this presentation. So thank you guys for listening. It was a pleasure to present to you this evening. I hope that you got a few takeaways from this presentation, and I would like to be back in the future. So thank you again, the It's Our Turn Club at UB. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you once again, Ms. Lakeisha Rolle from the Financial Academy. We truly appreciate you coming to speak to us today, and your presentation was wonderful and insightful. And definitely, I know now that I have to think like a boss to be successful in my business financial management. And we truly appreciate you once more. And now we can move on to our next speaker, Mr. Zhivargo Laing, and we will bring on his introduction.
Good evening, everyone. Zhivargo Sean Laing, the son of straw vendor and former Senator Naomi Seymour and former hotel worker, the late Cedric Laing, was born on September 7, 1967 in the capital city of Nassau. Zhivargo received his early education at the Big Pond Primary School in New Providence, Lewis Yard Primary School, and Hawksbill High School on the island of Grand Bahama. Following high school, Zhivargo attended the College of the Bahamas, now the University of the Bahamas, on a pilot club of Freeport scholarship. He obtained an associate degree in chemistry with biology from the college. At COB, he was elected president of the student union and served as its representative on the college council. Zhivargo went on to complete studies leading to a bachelor's degree in economics from the University of Western Ontario in London, Ontario, Canada. His education at Western was funded by a Tomlinson Foundation scholarship. Upon completion of his university studies, Zhivargo served as the business administrator, youth director, and lay minister of one of the largest churches on the island of Grand Bahama, Calvary Temple Assemblies of God, before moving to Nassau to take up a position in the Prime Minister's office as an investment officer in the Bahamas Investment Authority in 1992. In 1995, he was transferred to the Foreign Service of the Bahamas to take up a post as a diplomatic officer and economic attaché in the Bahamas Embassy in Washington, D.C. He would also serve as an alternate representative of the Bahamas to the Organization of American States. While in Washington, D.C., Zhivargo also undertook graduate studies at the George Washington University in Washington, D.C. toward a master's degree in business administration. In 1997, he was elected to the House of Assembly as the F&M representative for the Fort Charlotte constituency and was the youngest person elected in that year. He was also appointed at various times Minister of State in Youth, Sports and Culture, Minister of State in Education, and Minister of Economic Development. He remains the youngest person in this nation's history to be appointed to the cabinet, having been so appointed at 29 years old. Please welcome Zhivargo Laing.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here with you this evening. And I sat through and listened to Ms. Rolle's presentation, and she did a wonderful job. Gave great information that if you use, I'm sure you will be better off. I do not have a PowerPoint presentation for you tonight, but I have a powerful point to make to you tonight. And so if you have a piece of paper and if you have a pen or pencil, you are going to want to use it for sure. I see one of my young leadership programs graduate tonight, Calpurnia.
Good afternoon.
I don't know if there are others who were in the program.
Kareem, wipe the toilet.
Somebody better tell Mr. Minister. But I am glad to be here tonight. And I think that this, the topic that you are dealing with tonight is a very important topic. And if you are wise and you get this information, not just from here tonight, but from elsewhere, if you get the information that's relevant to this topic tonight, you can set yourselves on a path that will be absolutely rewarding for you. And so I ask you, largely because I know the mistake that so many of us have made in being as young as we are and listening in seminars like these and simply not doing enough to record the information, to report the information, and to take in the information so that we can apply the information and get the benefits from it. It is your turn now. It absolutely is. Largely because you're here and largely because you are of an age where you can do the kinds of things that the opportunities and preparation to do allows. But you have to have a foundation and you have to have a strategic plan and you have to be about the business of executing if you're going to get where it is that I believe most of you want to go. And so I want to begin your lesson on financial literacy with a non-financial point. Nothing reveals your character. Nothing reveals your interest. Nothing reveals your desires more than money. Nothing. How you handle not having money, how you handle having money is entirely reflective of the kind of person you are. So before you set about any goal toward wealth accumulation, toward business development, you would do yourself a huge favor to ask, what kind of person am I really? What are my values? What are my principles? What do I truly, truly believe? Now, I emphasize what do I truly, truly believe, because if I ask you what you believe, like many of us, we spit out words that reflect our upbringing, what our mommy and daddy would believe we ought to say, what our teachers, professors, etc. believe we ought to say. But what you truly believe, what I truly believe, is manifest in how we behave on a consistent basis. So let me give you an example. Money example. I wanted to find out how you believe, or what you believe, or what you really desire, or what you really value. I give you $1,000 and tell you, yeah, this is yours, man. This is a gift to you. You just carry on with it, right? And I would leave, but I would put a camera on you for the entirety of your usage of that $1,000, and I will know right away what kind of human being you are. There's no question about it. without being religious, but invoking a religious quote, as a man thinketh in his heart, says the scripture, so is he. But it also says that where your treasures are, your heart will be also. And so how you spend $1,000, what is the first thing you do with it? If the first thing you do with it is take your friends out for a nice evening or something, well, that tells me something. If you take a portion of it and first of all put it up, that tells me something. If you go to your parents and you say, you know, mommy, daddy got $1,000, I want to give you 10, 20, 30% of this, it tells me something. How you spend your money is a great revelation of what you value, what you believe, what you think to be important. And so I would ask you, as a prerequisite to financial literacy, to have a self-literacy. What kind of person am I? Really? You don't have to tell anybody, so you could be as honest as you want. If you are mean, be honest about it. If you are kind, be honest about it. If you're materialistic, be honest about it. If you're spiritualistic, be honest about it. If you don't care, be honest about it. If you care, be honest about it. If you're greedy, be honest about it. If you are selfless, be honest about it. Because nothing will ruin your efforts at money making, money keeping, and money building like not knowing the kind of person you are and how that person drives you to use money a certain kind of way. Every entrepreneur who knows what he or she is doing, who has learned from great entrepreneurs, ask themselves critical questions to come to know better themselves. Am I someone who sticks to things? Am I someone who's consistent with things? Am I someone who's persistent with things? Am I somebody who's given to hard work? Or am I somebody who avoids hard work? Am I somebody who can't take pressure? Am I somebody who can take pressure? Or am I somebody who can't work with people? Or am I somebody who can work with people? All of those things, having been personally evaluated, are critical to whether or not you succeed in your financial aims and objectives. I studied economics. I didn't learn money doing so. I got a master's degree in business administration. I didn't learn money doing so. I have a postgraduate certificate in finance and leadership. I did not learn money doing that. You know how I learned money? I learned money from people who knew money. That's how I learned money. No school could do it. I don't know why. They teach you economics, they teach you finance, but those things only teach you concepts around how to do certain things with money for the benefit of some organization. But teaching you money in terms of how you make it, how you keep it, how you handle it, etc., that's not what I learned in school. I learned this stuff from the people who live this stuff. And every experience you could have with money, I have had. Every experience. I've made lots of money. I've lost lots of money. I have spent lots of money. I've saved lots of money. I have worked with businesses that made lots of money. I have failed with businesses that made no money. I have had every money experiences. I know what it's like to not be able to pay a rent, a mortgage, a loan. I know what it is to default on a loan. I know what it is to be able to walk and buy a car cash. I know what it is to have almost $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 in the bank. Plus, I've had almost every experience with money you could name. And all of it reflected at any given time First, the kind of person I was. And secondly, what I truly understood, believed, and practiced. And even today, my money knowledge is extensive money knowledge. My finance knowledge is extensive. My economic knowledge is extensive. But money is still a tiger I have to tame, because I am a tiger I have to tame. You have to know yourself first. And I am deadly serious. I would actually stop here and say to you, really, it doesn't really make much sense going on if you don't get this point. Money will reveal who you are, good, bad, or ugly. So you want to know what kind of person you are. That's my first piece of financial literacy advice to you. Know what kind of person you are. What do you believe? What do you value? What are your principles? What are your non-negotiables? What things you will definitely not do with money? Or things you will definitely do with money, no matter what anybody says. You have to know the kind of person you are. Secondly, before money comes in your hand, as Lakeisha indicated, it's really useful to know what you really want. But you need to know two things, really. You have to know what you really need, and you have to know what you really want. Here's the difference. What you really need that requires money is the priority that has to get your money. Because you don't negotiate with necessity. Write that down for me, please. You don't negotiate with necessity. For instance, none of us has the luxury of walking outside and saying to the air, oxygen, I don't have no need for you, man. You go and negotiate with the oxygen. I tell you what, oxygen, why don't you give me about 20% of what you got? That's all I want. You keep the other 80%. I just want 20%. You can't do that. You will die. We don't negotiate with water. So similarly, if you need food, you cannot negotiate with some of your money going to food because you need food. If you need shelter and you rent or you have a mortgage, you don't negotiate with the money needed for the rent or the mortgage. So for me, as an example, when I have limited funds and I have to make decisions, I'm thinking, buddy, you got to feed and house yourself first. So get them paid off, and then you have to talk about what to do with other things. You don't negotiate with necessity. Once you have taken care of necessity, you can go to your wants. Now, here's what is true. At periods in your life, especially when you are young and just starting out, you have more necessities than your money can meet sometimes. In fact, sometimes all your money goes to necessities. This is also true when you are starting out as a family. You just got married, and you got these expenses, and a lot of your money goes to necessity because you haven't really come to build up that income level yet where maybe you have cushion to spare. But you can't hurt your head, because what is necessary is necessary. My son, who I carried all his life until he graduated university, and then he started living with me. And as an adult child, I had to talk with him. And I said, well, son, you got to contribute something to the rent. this is a place we have in Nassau. I have a home in Freeport. They say we have to contribute something to the rent. And I used to watch him as he had to pay his portion every month, and he would squirm, and I could see the pain of him. And I looked at him one day and I said, son, you see that pain that you have to take that money out and pay for this rent? I said, you know what? I want you to develop a resistance to that pain. Otherwise, you will become a bill ducker, a bill dodger. I said, because the truth of the matter is, as long as you live, there is a portion of your income that will always only be for necessities. Always. There is no negotiating with it. I said, and so as soon as you accept that, you will never feel that pain again. You will only understand it as a duty you have to perform. There are your necessities and there are your wants. It is in mixing up the two that we have fouled up our financial circumstances mostly. Going out to fish fry is a nice want. But if you don't have enough money to pay your school fees, it is a want that cannot be sacrificed for the necessity of a school fee that you must pay. We can't negotiate with necessities. So, Ms. Rolle, in talking to you on the business side of things, talked about expenses a business might have. And similarly, in personal life, we have expenses: food, shelter, clothing. If you have a car, you may have payments, you have gasoline. Anytime you make a commitment to somebody of a financial nature through a mortgage or a loan, that's a necessity because you've made that obligation, so forth and so forth. All of those things you have to take account of before you get to your wants. Now, let me tell you something about your wants. Don't ever belittle your wants. Don't ever think badly about your wants. Don't ever cuss your wants. Treat them like beautiful, salacious dreams that you want to have. So you want to be able one day to be in such a financial position that the wants you have, you can drive that nice fancy car, you can have that beautiful lawned house, you can fly all over the world to the extent you want, you can do, and you want to keep thinking about that because those are the things that will give you the motivation to press toward proper financial habits. If you attach feelings to your dreams and goals, it will motivate your desire to achieve them, and you will come to adopt the disciplines that are necessary to achieve them. So don't ever despise your wants. Just never put them ahead of your necessities. Everybody right? Don't despise your wants. Just never put them ahead of your necessities. So know what you want. So when you get a chance, you get a piece of paper and you write, these are my necessities, and you make a list of them. You make a list of them, an extensive list of them. Sometimes people shortcut this and they forget, they forget some of the little necessities, that they don't think about. But the truth of the matter is, as Lakeisha said, in quoting Benjamin Franklin about the small leaks, what Benjamin Franklin was saying is, if your house has a small leak, but that leak leaks for 5 years, your water bill will be in the thousands upon thousands, and eventually it will cost you tens of thousands because the leak will become a huge, huge disrepair. And personal finances and business finances are like that. Here's what the business people don't realize. So I just can take $5 out the till today. I can just take $5 of the till tomorrow. And $5 out of a till 300 days out of the year on average is going to be 1,500. Is it 100? Yeah, $1,500. Now, if somebody came and took $1,500 out your till at one time, what would you say? You would call the police and fire them because it's a lot of money. Okay, and so we want to make sure we capture all of our necessities, and then you go out and you write that list of wants you have. Go ahead and do it. Don't even be shy about it. If you want a Lamborghini, that's fine, man. I'm with you. If you want a Jaguar, I'm with you. I don't have no problems with that. If you want to fly around the world and spend a few weeks in Europe and then in Asia and then in the South Pacific, please carry on. That's up to you. The only caveat is never put your wants before your needs. Okay. The next thing I want to indicate to you is that none of us achieves much in the way of financial success without a sure plan. You have to have a plan. I can't tell you how risky it is to wake up in the morning shooting from the hip. Honestly, I mean, and to be frank, to be very frank with you, this is the life of probably most Bahamians. We wake up in the morning and whatever buck up goes, we wake up in the morning and child, the Lord got me. We wake up in the morning and we got no plans, no goals, no targets, no specific set of anything that we want to do. I want you to take a look at something. This is my notebook. This is a notebook I have. Now, this is the one I have been using for the year, so it almost used up, but I have multiples of these, and in there are notes. You know what the notes are? What Zhivargo has to do today, what Zhivargo is seeking to do this week, what Zhivargo is trying to do this month. I have so many things going on. I have to do that. I have to know what I'm going to be about today. I have to manage my actions so that I have priorities that I am pursuing in the time that I have. Otherwise, I am going to be the victim of the accidents of life. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. You want to become a strange creature in the Bahamas. You know what a strange creature in the Bahamas is? Somebody who's on a bus who actually knows where they're going. Who knows where they want to go. Who knows that you could stop here, but that's not my stop. You have to have a plan. And what is a plan? A plan sets up your aims, your objectives, and your goals. Write that down. A plan sets out my aims, my objectives, and my goals. And it includes a path to actually get there, a strategy for actually getting there. And the strategy has identified all of the resources, all of the relationships, and all of the requirements of actually achieving the goal. So for instance, if you have a goal of becoming a medical doctor, you know that university study has to be in your life. There's no question about it. You cannot become a doctor saving except you go to university. You could get medical knowledge without university, but you are not going to become a doctor without university. And so you have to have, if your goal is to be a doctor, you have to have a path that gets you there, which includes university. If you're going to go to university, you got to be able to fund it. So now you need a path for funding it. Okay. And so these things, once filled up, represents how you're going to get from here to there, and in between filled up with the path, the resources, the requirements, the relationships in order to get there. That's a plan. Not this vague something we like to talk about. Try chewing your boy, but listen, boy, when I grow up, boy, I can be up. But listen, boy, your boy can blow right up. That ain't no plan. You have to have aims and goals and objectives and pathways that have identified resources, relationships, and requirements, and how you are going to actually get the resources, requirements, and relationships to get you where you want to go. When I was about 13 years old, I took a blank piece of paper. And on the blank piece of paper, at the bottom, I wrote where I was at the time I was in high school. And at the top of the paper, I wrote where it was in life I wanted to be. Now, I share this with you, but this is no longer something I pursuing. But at the top of it was be Prime Minister of the Bahamas. And in between, I wrote things that I thought would get me there. So I knew that certain kinds of behaviors was not in the works for me. For instance, I would be on a basketball court and somebody would get angry with me, and then they would threaten me, and I would walk off, and they'd start calling me punk and sissy, but you scared and all that, but I keep walking off. You know why? Because when I looked on my plan, there was no be dead arguing with a fool on a basketball court calling you punk or sissy before you get where you're going. So it was easy to walk away. You have to have a plan. In financial life, listen to me, people, listen to me. I'm 53 years old now, and I promise you, if I grasped this when I was 20-something years old, your boy would have been blown right up. Thank God for what I've been able to do, but I would have been able to do so much better. And I told my sons, they are now in their 20s. If they listen to me, by the time they're 40, they will be millionaires. I did not achieve that, but they will. Okay? Why? You have got to say to yourself, listen, at the end of the month, what I want my money situation to be? $100 in the bank? At the end of the year, what do I want my money situation to be? $1,000? At the end of 5 years, what do I want my money situation to be? $30,000 in the bank? And so forth and so forth. Because it is that clarity. It is that clarity of goal, of mind, that begins your journey toward that financial health that you want. And okay. And so once you do that, you say, okay, what does it take to have $100 at the end of the week? What does it take to have $1,000 at the end of the month? What does it take to have at the end of the year? What is it? So once you start filling in the answer to those questions, the only thing that's left for you is the thing that is left for me to say to you, which is execute. Now listen to me. I know folks with plenty fancy financial plans, because we go buy these books, and the books say how to set up a budget, gives you all kinds of knowledge, and that's great and fantastic. I have a financial plan. My financial plan is extensive in terms of knowing and tracking where my income comes from, how much income I get, how much income I get on a regular monthly basis, what income do I have that's periodic, what income do I get that is a function of my own entrepreneurial efforts during the course of the year, so it's not really predictable, but I try to predict it anyways, and when it might come in. I have every lick and cranny that I spend on anything, children's school fees, books, gas, whatever it is, I plug it in there, and plus a miscellaneous, just in case I miss something. I know what my surplus and deficit is on a monthly basis. This month, I'm going to run into deficit. This next month, I'm going to run into surplus. And I know if at the end of the year, I'm going to end up in a deficit or a surplus position, and whether or not I'm going to need to now source some supplemental income or loan to carry my deficit or not. I know all that stuff. I got it detailed out in Excel, in a spreadsheet, all of it. But you know what is true? Every plan is only as successful as your willingness to actually obey it, to follow it. Because we can get distracted so easily. So you have a plan to have $100 at the end of the week, and your boys them come and say, by true, and let's go by PI and spend some time getting some drinks, man. And all of a sudden, boom, you gone. Next thing you know, you out $30, $40 because you didn't plan for that, but your boys just came and set you off your rockers. You know why? Because you ain't focused. Your plan don't mean nothing to you. You have to have conviction about passion about what it is you are seeking to accomplish. And that requires very often sacrificing. Telling your boys, listen, bro, gents, honestly, your boy don't have it this week for that kind of thing. So check me later, but I can't do it this go round. My friends will tell you, they couldn't come to my house and say, boy, Zhivargo, let's just go for a ride. I just go for a ride? You mean just get in a car and go for a ride? You don't mean plan to go somewhere? I said, no, man, I don't operate like that. If you want to go to the park to play basketball, if you want to go to the movies, don't come to me and say, man, let's just go for a ride. That ain't no planning. And so you've got to execute. And that means having the discipline to follow through on what you plan to do. Now, sometimes you do fall off. We do. I mean, let's be real. We can fall off. But discipline says, I fell off. That means that where my falling off has now set me back, I have to run doubly fast to recoup so that I can get back on target. Because the goal is still the goal, and I want to pursue it. Now, before I open up for questions to you, I want to say a couple of things about business. And if you are interested in business, as I hope you are, that's a wonderful thing. Wonderful thing. But if your focus on business is a focus first on your own self, you are going to miss the boat. I want you to write these words down. Value proposition. Value proposition. All businesses start with a value proposition. All businesses start with what are the needs of this group of people? What are the wants and desires of this group of people? And how can I meet that need or desire of this group of people, recognizing that I have to do so in a way that competes with others who are similarly doing so. When I know that, I have what we call a value proposition. And that is the first clarity a business must have, a value proposition. If you are going to target young ladies between 20 and 40 years old, what is it that they are looking for? What is it that they need? What is it that they desire? Okay, let's just say, and ladies, please forgive me. I have some of y'all in my life, so I only just saying. So let's say their desire is hair extensions. What kind of hair extensions do they want? I don't know. Let's say it's Brazilian. And how much are they prepared to pay for it? I don't know. Let's say it's $75 for a piece. I don't know. Well, the question for you is, am I able to deliver up here extensions at $75 with the quality, efficiency, effectiveness, and customer service that these people would want, so that they are able and choose to come to me to get it. Because that's my value proposition. I go to the ladies and I say, listen, I got hair extensions, Brazilian hair extensions, and I can sell you them for $75. You don't already come to me, I will come to you. If you order them today, you will get them today, and you will get them in this fashion, and so forth and so forth. And so now all of that builds your brand. Your brand is the totality of your product, your service, the totality of your return policies, and all these things that give your customers an impression of you that says, when they see your logo or they see your markings, they associate with all of that a certain good feeling of access to something I want and that I get with great service. And you hear and see that Coca-Cola brand, and I know some of you are right now when I say this, and you know that Coca-Cola chilled. I mean nice and chilled. Right now, some of you salivating because that's Coca-Cola's brand. It starts with a value proposition. And everything else about business, all the sales and marketing, all of the operating expenses or operating procedures, all of the technology, all of the human resources, all of the accounting features, all of those things are built around the value proposition to deliver it up to the customer in a cost-effective manner. All of the supply chain and all of the logistics, all of these are wrapped around the value proposition so that you can deliver it up in a way that's profitable for you. And at the end of the day, you and your parties and your partners and them share up the profits and the gains from all of that. You can absolutely have the financial success you want. You can. But you have to have a strategy, and that strategy ain't gonna come out of tonight. That is going to come out of the dedication you have to learning, embracing, developing, and utilizing the skills necessary to do that. I've proven it in the world. And I've had financial hard times and challenges, but I've proven you can make lots of money in even the Bahamas. And I've made lots of money in the Bahamas, and I've made lots of money outside of the Bahamas. I've traveled as far away as Nigeria, and spent a couple of days and come back with substantial funds. But that didn't happen by accident. It didn't happen by happenstance. It didn't happen overnight. It required a dedication to the development of my personal self, my personal knowledge, my personal experience, and being of value to the world. I hope that was helpful. I thank you.
Okay, does anyone have any questions for Mr. Laing? Okay, I actually have a question. When you were talking about making sure that you have a list, or at least a plan when you head out, and what are tips that you can use to help you get back on track when you fall off?
Well, falling off, first of all, means knowing where you were going in the first place. So sometimes our falling off is a function of no clarity of goals. So if the reason you fell off was that there wasn't clarity in your goals, then the first step back is a new goal or a goal, okay? And then secondly, if you feel like along the way there were decisions you made, things you did, attitudes you adopted that were unhelpful and caused you to get sidetracked, then you have to identify them and pledge, commit, and find ways to do something other than them so that they don't continue to sidetrack you. But the most important thing is just decide. I ain't letting, listen, it don't make no difference how bad it was. If I lived through it and I lived past it, I'm getting up and moving on from it. That's it. That's it. No, man, don't let nobody hang. They could tease you, talk bad at you, and call you a guy, and don't even listen to them. The only thing that's important is I'm still alive and I'm moving in the right direction.
Thank you so much. If there are absolutely no more questions for Mr. Laing, then we thank you for your presentation. It was very informative and I learned a lot for my personal life because, like you said, there are certain things, even though this is a financial literacy seminar for entrepreneurs, first you have to look at yourself before you actually look at the money that you earn. You have to look at how you earn, how do you spend it in your personal life before you actually spend it on your business. So that was very informative and I appreciate it. And we, the IoT family, appreciate the time that you spent tonight coming and speaking with us. We hopefully you will come back again, as well as Ms. Lakeisha Rolle. We both enjoyed your presentations. And if that is all and nobody has anything else to say, we will call the Vice President back.
Sorry, if I might just quickly say that the end of October on Z Live, we are going to be doing 3 shows on personal financial management. So if you want some more information with some of the experts and others who will be there, you'll be able to do so at the end of the month. So stay tuned to Z Live and you'll find out more about the dates and stuff for that.
Okay, so excellent. Thank you again so much to both our speakers, Ms. Rolle and Mr. Zhivargo Laing. Really appreciate taking your time out. And I know personally I've learned a lot from both your speeches and I'll definitely be applying that information to my future endeavors. So again, I'd like to thank you for that. So if any other comments, we're closing out now. Thank you all for coming. Really appreciate it. Hope you guys all learned something today. And don't forget to follow up with Mrs. Rolle, her social media and the Z Live to find out more information. So that's all. Thank you again, everyone.
We truly appreciate everyone for coming out. Please enjoy the rest of your night and have a safe one.